Morning. Don't think it's stopped raining since you last saw me recent video. Everywhere's flooded apparently. But a hell of a rain. It's really made up for the last week of dry weather in the last 24 hours. Anyway, I've got a slew gearbox to go and fit on a high track. I've just put the slew gearbox in the back of the van. I thought if I take the slew motor off the slew gearbox, because I know I can lift the slew motor myself, I'll be able to lump the gearbox out. It'll half the weight of it. I think that slew gearbox weighs twice as much as the slew motor, 94 kilos. So there goes that plan. But thankfully the fella took the machine off site and put it in his yard, where he's got a shed that I can work in. Hopefully it's big enough to work in, and there's a forklift to use as well. Just help yourself, he said. Grand. The only thing I'll need is somebody to kind of spot us, but I'll just be on and off the forklift seat a bit. Anyway, at least I'll have some sort of shelter from this rain. So, let's go and put a slew gearbox in a digger. Okay, so I'm going to have to move this feeder wagon. Should be able to get most of it in here. See if I can remember how to drive a tractor. That's a good start. On the button. I do like these little John Deeres. That's a bit rubbish. Oh, it's a fancy one. Do I just do that? Is there a handbrake? No. One of them though. Oh, what a way. That's quite a nice gearbox, that. Should I pull it into this shed and then the tub mixer doesn't get wet? I feel like it's been put in a shed to keep it dry. Does the tub mixer go into this shed? Let's find out. Does the tractor go in? I would imagine it does, but I think I'm just going to stop there. Oh, that aircon's blowing cold on my knees. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably knock the beacon, maybe. Don't know. Right, let's get this digger into this shed. Who put that there? I'm gonna ignore my own rules. Okay, so don't forget I've got no slew oil in there. To be honest, I don't really need a slew round. And to be honest, the amount I'm gonna slew around with no oil in there won't really matter, because I'll only do 180 degrees. However, I don't need to slew, so I'm not gonna. Alright. And maybe I should peel that tape off and I can see the rear view camera. I can see out the back. No mirrors on that side, but I'm pretty sure there was nothing over that way. So, let's see how much of this digger we can get under that under that roof without crushing the water pipe. Right, grand. I'll make that do because I'm undercover. I'm going to bring the forklift. Oh, there's another digger up the yard. I'll be able to get in, lift everything out. So, pipes. How many pipes is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pipes, an auto idle plug, a ring of bolts. And that's it. How hard can it be? Well, I'm going to show you how hard it can be. This could go one of two ways, and it all depends on a little metal peg like that is more than likely going to be rusted. Yes, so the plan is to keep the slew motor attached to the gearbox, lift it all out as a oneer, swap everything over and lift it all back in again. That's the plan. That's the plan. I'll just take the pressure off, although I think this pilot accumulator's in a bad shape because I'm pretty sure it won't settle out. Yeah. We got no pilot accumulator. Never mind. We'll just close our eyes when we're cracking pipes off. Oh, lovely, I can get right in among it. Position of the van should I just reverse it across here and then pull forward and I'm ready to lift out? Yes, good idea, that's what I'll do. Okay, so I'm just having a weigh up what I will need. Grabbed a handful of stuff from what I can remember. 36mm spanner. We're going to take these pipes off coming across here. Leave them up out the way. I've got this, by the way. Years and years ago, on the 140 LCRs, the bolts for the slew gearbox, were they coming loose? And you had to basically go around and check them. And to do the job, they told that you need this special tool. And all it is a 27mm socket, 24mm socket, and a great big long pole. That's an inch drive, but I've got an adapter to 3/4. And that is brilliant to get in and around the slew gearbox. Mounting bolts, so that's handy. I think from memory there's only 2 that I can get on with that, which are on the back side of there. You can't get it for the spool caps, but there's a nice big hole in the floor down there, so you can get in down there with a spanner and a big hammer. So yeah, we'll work away at this, get these pipes off. I was thinking I was going to take that cover off there, but looking at it from here, I don't know if I'll need to. Might need to maybe to get that in to get these bolts around here. We'll see. I'll make it up as I go along. So we've got our pipes removed. Well, all the pipes on the top anyway. Remember, we're not changing the motor, we're just changing the gearbox, which is below it. So I'm going to leave that rag over there now because I'll be ratcheting in and around it. I don't want any foreign objects to go into there. Now there's one cheeky little pipe to remember down here. That one there. That's a grease pipe. We need to take that off. Don't forget to take that off out. And then there'll be the gearbox drain pipe as well, which will be somewhere in that nest down there. And then there's 2 quarter pipes to take off for the swing brake. So that's the next job. Now one's a pilot pressure, the other is a tank line. and the tank line will run forever and a day. All those other pipes, if you take the pipes off and have them above tank level, then you won't lose any oil. So I don't need to worry about capping those off. It's just the little quarter pipe downstairs, so I need a little ORFS male fitting which I'm slowly getting rid of because of blanking stuff off, and then yeah, I've got a machine up in the workshop at Castle Douglas which you won't have seen, and that has definitely got some of my fittings on to get the thing recovered onto a low loader. So I'll have to have a ratch in here. There will be one, I just need to find it. Okay, so I've got the slug gearbox pipe off the bottom, 2/4 pipes and the pressure switch for the swing brake, and I've also got that grease pipe and fitting moved out the way. Now what you'll see down here is that there isn't a broken bolt, that's the dowel. So the ringer bolts around the gearbox, keep the gearbox down, and it's that dowel that stops it from shearing said bolts out. Next to the dowel is 2 rubber caps, which is protecting the threads. So what we do once we get the ringer bolts out is take those rubber caps out and put a couple of bolts in there, we'll rattle them down, and that pushes against the face of the chassis, and it should encourage the gearbox to come out. That is the goal, but the first hurdle to get to that point is getting all the bolts out. So yeah, I've got my bar, I've got a glass window. Notice when I was digging a lot of the muck out from around here, because I didn't want to have a load of muck and twigs in and around there, A, because I wanted to be able to get onto all my bolts, and B, when I get it out I don't want a load of twigs falling into there, or when I put it back down, a twig to sit between the gearbox and the chassis. So I've had a clean out, but anyway, what I was going to tell you is there's a bit of glass in among down here, so I suspect a window has already been refitted to this machine at one point in its life. Anyway, this is the difficult bit now, so okay, all the bolts are out. The last 2 were hellish. Just I couldn't get that long bar in between that valve there and that valve there, and it's got to kind of go in at an angle ever so slightly. So those pipes are in the way, the pipes that go up the boom here. I didn't want to take them off. So I managed to get a selection of long 1/2 inch bars, and then an adapter from 1/2 inch to 3/4. I managed to get it with the big bar. You'll have seen me in the time lapse using this strap here, and that just kind of, as you're wanting to pull, this whole thing's wanting to bend away from you, which is when you'll have an accident because it'll slip off. And in the case of doing this one here, I was sat on top of here, so the last thing you want to do is slip off and fall. So that was holding that, and then I had a hand on here holding, and I had my foot underneath that bracket there. So I'm still here to tell the tale. All right, the last one, or the second to last, because I've done that one last, was down between these 2 spool caps. Again, 1/2 inch bar, 1/2 inch extensions down through there. And that one went with a bang. Some of them kind of like, you get so much tension and then they just kind of go like that. And then some of them go nothing, bang. And you think, oh God, I've snapped the bolt. And then you try and find the bolt head and it's there. And you get going again and it's just cracked, come with a crack. So all bolts have now been extracted. So what I'm going to do, I've got a feeling those bungs down there, I'm going to take them out, will be the same thread as those bolts there. And I'm a feeling they're the same bolts, or the same thread anyway, as the bolts that hold the track rollers onto the carriage. And I've got a few of them in the van, so I'll use them just in case I damage the threads. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, that is definitely the worst bit over with. Unless that dowel doesn't come out, but I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling confident. And I'm glad to be in this shed too, because my waterproof boiler suit is still heavy and wet from yesterday. Hey, it's like a lot of you have said in the comments recently, if it was easy, we'd all be doing it. Just seeing the time, it's 11:30, and to be honest with you, my stomach would have told you it was 12:30. I'm starving. Any road. Got the cap extracted. One of them didn't come out in one piece, but I've got it out. And according to this cap, let me see, M10. So I was right. I do have a couple of correct bolts. In fact, they are the same, oops, as those. I'll leave them to one side because I don't want to confuse myself. It doesn't really matter. You can see all Loctite. These ones aren't too bad, to be fair. But they've probably put Loctite on from about there all the way up to there. So they're M10s, which makes me a little bit nervous because I don't really want them snapping. So I'm gonna fill them holes up with WD-40 and then rattle them in and see what happens. Okay, so they weren't M10s, so I went and grabbed M12s. Wasn't M12s, so I grabbed M14. Wasn't M14, it's actually M24. Is that right? No, M16, 24 head. Anyway, got a couple of bolts in there and it's starting to come away. Yay! So I don't know how nice this is. You can see it's a bit wobbly. This won't be nice to listen to, so if you've got headphones on, turn the volume down now. That's them bottomed out. Feeling now, if I get a forklift, telehandler or a digger, I'll see what's left. There's been some vehicle movements in the yard while I've been rattling about. Should be able to boom across the engine. I'll obviously shut the lid. And for my next trick, take that out there, don't need that. Tell you what would you do without impact guns? I'd still be winding those bolts out with a ratchet by now, I bet. So that's kept all nice and clean. I've got a hydraulic fitting with a eyelet welded to it. Little screw over that and that'll lift it out central. When we get it up about 3 inches, we'll then need to boom out and then up. Otherwise we'll smash all these. And then my day will turn into a bad one. I don't want a bad day. Today is my Friday. I'll find this lifting assembly. Why has these lights gone off? Probably I've been here too long. So many jobs I've done recently where my lights have gone off in the back, and that tells me I've been there too long. If my lights are still on in the back of the van by the time I finish the job, then Done a perfect job. Right. There's something in here somewhere. Unless it's gone skedaddle. Nope. Aha! Here it is. I might need to take the fitting out there. Maybe try and get that fitting out. Done a good job of that, haven't I? I'm sure I made a better one than that. Anyway, I'll make this one do. There we go then, ready for lift off. Now I wouldn't recommend lifting from that point unless you know that it's going to come out, because the last thing you want to do is strip the threads in there. But right, grab me. I'm on here. Am I just wobbling the phone? That's wobbling. That should come. There's only one dowel and it's down there. So I need to move the van forward. I'm not getting in the van in this state. Oh, perish the thought. I'm gonna have some lunch. Take my boiler suit off, have some lunch, and then absolutely flying. Everything's going to plan. Shouldn't have said that. Should not have said that. Yeah, I've had a wander around. There is no sign of anybody, and I'm just going to go and grab the door handle to get into the telehandler, and there isn't one. Farm spec. Oh look, it's got pallet forks on already. Good. It's a good start. Ah, and it starts. Should I be concerned that that's all the way in the down position like that? Is there a handbrake? No. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's the handbrake. Right, well, we'll manoeuvre this over towards the digger and try and get this out by myself. Oh, it'll be fine. It's the worst that could happen. Yes, I will have to be careful operating this piece of equipment because the brakes are slow to react. I'm still moving. No, I'm stopped. It's a two pedal operation, which makes me nervous about getting the gearbox out of the van in the first place. So I'll maybe just nudge up to it and then lump it out. Yeah, if I can get the forks just kind of like sat on here, and I'll just slide the gearbox onto there. I'm not going to try and scoop it out of the van, or I'll probably scoop the van up. Okay, got it out. Let's see how this goes. need to pull you out a bit, lift up. You all shout, won't you? When I'm gonna do any damage, just shout. Hey, what's that headstock on this rail over here? Tell you what, it's going to be fun putting it back in. Be up and down here like a million. Woo. Right, 3 motors out. Phone battery is down to 10%, so I'm going to put it on charge. All I'm going to do is swap the old gearbox onto the new one, and then by then you should have enough power to keep an eye on it going in for us. I'll show you the inside of the gearbox as well once I've charged this. So I've installed the motor on the new gearbox. I've got the dowel out, which is good. Got to remember there's no fluids in here at the moment, so I've just put a grease nipple into here and gave it a load of grease to grease the bearing for the pinion. What else have I done? You need to take note as well as to which way round this sits to where this sits, because you'll get this into the right position and then it's not the end of the world. Like, it's just, what is that, 8 bolts to take out. If you get it in the wrong position, 8 bolts lift it up and maneuver it into the right spot, but you want to try and get it right, and I think I'm somewhere near. Somewhere near. So yeah, I've got the fitting into that gear oil. Just runs forever and a day, doesn't it? That's just what's sat inside that fitting, but that's all done now. We're ready to lift it in. So what is the score with the old gearbox? Well, when I got it out and had a look, I thought, well, there's nothing to see on the top row, and to be honest with you, it was the bottom row that caught my eye first. You look down there, I'll try and turn this a bit. There's a couple of chunks missing off the corners of those teeth. And then as I kind of... So I look past this bit here. The fact that there is no bearing, I mean, it's got hardly anything left. There's absolutely no bearing in there left whatsoever. So I've made the right call. So that's missing. That one's missing. That one ain't in bad shape. Can I get this out one-handed or not? Hang on, I'll try and get it out for you. So, yeah, we've got bearings completely missing and disintegrated on here. This tooth here, totally chewed up. So what's that? 2 bearings and a gear so far. And then we get into here, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 4 damaged gears in here. I think I can get this one out. Hang on, I'll get it out. So what we're up to now, 5 gears. Bearings are all right in them. So it's 5 gears, 2 bearings, probably a carrier for that because that's all scored and worn. And then all the debris, don't want to poke about in there too much, I'll end up spearing my finger. But all of that stuff there would need flushing out. Need to put new bearing in it, all the bearings, To be fair, this outer casing's okay. However, I know for a fact that by the time you just get one of these gear sets, another 200 quid or so will buy you the whole thing. It's just a no-brainer, isn't it? It's a false economy, and there's absolutely no sense in spending a day stripping it out, rebuilding it with new parts and putting it back in, because you're not going to have that peace of mind that something else isn't just about to go. So that's why you see me fitting new parts quite regularly. For me personally, I'd much rather fit new parts than I know they're right, rather than strip down and rebuild things. Same goes for hydraulic pumps, swing gearboxes, final drives. It's just, it's a nonsense to me. I want to be able to go to a job, repair the machine, and leave that machine knowing that in 6 months' time, 2 weeks' time, 2 days' time, I'm not going to be back at it pulling the same thing out because something else has gone or something hasn't gone back together correctly. So I know everything in there, touch wood, should be good. And if anything happens in there in the next year or so, then we'll get a new one. Easy. So that is scrap. I'll leave it for the fella because it'll be a bit of money's worth in that scrap metal. Plus, I don't want it sat in the back of my van. So, yeah. Right, I'll put you back on charge. I'll swing this gearbox in, and then I'll maybe pick you back up again when I've got it all fitted in. All I'm going to do is do exactly the same as what I did taking it out, just a little bit at a time. I'll use a pokey bar, pointed bar, to line up the holes. I'll set it down. I'll make sure I've got all the ringer bolts in first before I then commit to smacking that down. If all these bolts line up, that should go right down through the chassis. But that is one of those, you only get one chance at that. So if for any reason I need to lift the machine back out again, or take this out, it's a case of taking the whole lot out and then hitting it up. That is a one-way ticket. Okay, so you'll probably join me when I'm putting pipes back on or something, but you've seen the best bits now, the guts of it. And unless something Jurassic happens, like I put that through the side window, then yeah, you'll join me once we're ready to kind of either put oil in it or track the machine out. Don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. Does anybody know a good dentist? Ah! Okay, there we go. Not gonna lie, that turned into a bit of a mission at the end. I'll tell you for why right now. Ugh. So yeah, I got the slew motor and gearbox swung in and down at the hole, but it was like where the gear was, it was like half a hole out, and I couldn't obviously get the gear turned because the slew brake was on. So I ended up taking that ring of Allen bolts out and lifting the motor away from the gearbox, and then I could spin it and got it into position. Then I rattled all the bolts down, tightened them all up, and then I thought, oh yeah, I better hammer that dowel in. And then the dowel wouldn't go in, so I had to crack all the bolts back off again, which isn't as bad to do when the motor isn't in the way. So I got all that undone, got the dowel knocked in, got the ringer bolts back in, fitted the motor, got the ringer bolts onto the motor, and you see that filler neck? Oh, me and that filler neck had strong words. It's a 1/2 inch BSP, and yeah, the filler neck was on it when I lifted it out. I had to take the filler neck off to separate the motor from the old gearbox. I put the motor onto the new gearbox out in the fresh air, and then put the filler neck back on, yeah, because I had to take it off. put the filler net back on to fit the whole assembly. Well, the first two threads looked as though they'd had a knock, so I must have knocked it lifting the motor out. I don't remember doing it like, but God almighty, I could not get the threads to start on it. So I thought I'm gonna have to take that elbow out. That elbow was tight, can't get a spanner in. Oh, I've just had a right time of it, I really have. Yeah, it flew back together after that. So, what I'll do is I'll start, there's a key in this one. I'll start this up, and then I'll move that Merlot. I need to remember to get my chains off it. I'll track it out and do a few 360s. It's 4 o'clock now, so I need to be away because I've got a plane to catch. I actually thought I would have finished this by about 2:30, 3 o'clock. To be fair, I wasn't putting the slew motor until 1:45. And it was a bit of a faff getting on and off this, but tell you what, I'm flipping glad I had this. Yeah, customer did a real good job fetching it. It was on a job when it started making noises, and I am flipping glad that he pulled it back down to his yard for us. It would have just been I don't know whether there'd be another machine there or not. It would have been such a job. Otherwise. Right, I'll throw this forklift away and then we'll go and get the high track out the shed. Okay, I've got that's not an engine, it's just to tell you that it needs a service. I might as well put that on, see what I'm doing going backwards. Right, I'll just give it a little rock left and right. That's a good start. We'll go forwards, we're forwards. Just have to look out for the roof, but the roof gets higher as we come back to it. Alright, I'm going to put that slew motor in the bucket. Keep it together. You can have a look at it if you want to. Okay. We'll go around in circles, shall we? Always go slowly first. Just in case you hit a spot where it doesn't want to go and you don't snap anything. So far so good. Once you get halfway you get confident, but you shouldn't. Nothing going clunkety clunkety bang. Good, that's a full rotation. Right, we'll go a bit faster. Oh, it's silent, what a surprise! That's because there's no bits of metal in there. Oh, it's like new. Go the other way. And we don't unscrew the top. Whew, I'm feeling dizzy. Grand! Let's go home! Right. I always say right, don't I, when I turn the camera on? I do apologise. Right. I hope you've enjoyed that video. I enjoyed it to a point. I got to the point where I was just like, oh, one thing after another, putting it back together. It's because I said what could possibly go wrong. So it was. See, I've not fitted hundreds of slew gearboxes and motors. I think I've done about 7 or 8 in total, and I reckon out of, say I've done 8, I reckon 6 have just gone straight in the hole and the bolts have lined up. There was only one, and I remember that was when I was an apprentice and it wasn't really my job, but we're on I'm sure it was a 420, I'm sure we had to do something similar, take the motor off separate and separate it. Any road. Right, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, let me know by what you're going to do. Click the like button if you won't mind. If you don't mind, click the like button. And those of you that haven't subscribed and you want to see more of these videos, there's a little red button that says subscribe. It doesn't cost you a penny. All it does is give you a notification when I post new videos. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.